Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Higginbotham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we love having authors and speakers and coaches come on talking about mindfulness and pivots and so much more. That's why we're honored to have with us Shelley Kemp. She is the founder and chief pivot coach for Pivot Life Global. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, Jeremy. Thanks.
Well, you've got books we get to talk about. You've got the speaking. You've got an upcoming book in the fall that we're going to talk about, all about pivot. We'll unpack that in a second, but give us a little bit of your background, because you've got an amazing career in the HR space that, touches on a lot of this. So give us a little bit of your background.
My background started in sales. And I did a pivot in the middle of my 20s and discovered that I'm really good with people. And so I went into human resources in my 30s, worked for a bank, worked for a large university here in Memphis, and then went into transportation for a little while, loved that. And now I'm with the Memphis Grizzlies as their human resources business partner for business operations, and couldn't be happier. I mean, I'm around great people and I get to serve people, and it's kind of my sweet spot.
Touch on, I know it's hard in a short space, but a little bit of what you learned, because when you talk about that sort of pivot and then working in the different industries, obviously there's that through line, just like you mentioned about caring for people. But what, when you look at your career and kind of going to the different industries, what's one or two things that have allowed you to be successful as you make those pivots?
I think one of the things that makes me more successful than maybe an average HR person is I really value the relationships that I have within the organization, but I also value the organization's values and how they kind of match my own, or maybe I match theirs, not really sure, but I love the organizations that I work for or that I work with. And I use my work as kind of a marketplace ministry to help people see the light in every day, because nobody wants to go to work every single day, but I want people to see the benefits of having a great 9-to-5 job, or having an average 9-to-5 job. There's always some silver lining, and I try to bring that to the organization, to people who maybe aren't quite as happy where they are at in their careers. And so I'm always just trying to teach people to be okay with where they're at in their careers. And hopefully that makes me a little bit different as far as an HR professional goes.
Well, and I also think you're taking all of these lessons learned, and from a coach perspective, being able to step in and pour in and then carry that to be a gift for others. And so talk about launching, and when you look at yourself as founder, chief pivot coach for Pivot Life Global, talk about Pivot Life Global.
Yeah, Pivot Life Global is a dream that I've had for a very long time. I just didn't know it was going to be Pivot Life Global. And 2020 did a number on all of us, but what it really allowed me to do was really get focused about what I wanted to do in this world and what kind of impact I wanted to make. And so Pivot Life Global was born really in 2018 after my son had an accident with a lawnmower. And we had to heal from that as a family. And it just kind of took on this, it morphed into this big idea after he was back on his feet. And Pivot Life Global was born. So now I just kind of teach people how to navigate life's pivot moments. A pivot in basketball is all about changing directions. And a player who is going to be pivoting, what they do is they stand up on their pivot foot, and it's usually one or the other, and they swivel back and forth to see what direction they're going in. They make sure they have a firm foundation, and then once they know where they're going or where they want to go, then they turn or they pivot in that direction and they move forward, and hopefully they make the shot or make the block. And that's really how the Pivot Life Global marketplace ministry got started for me. Is it just it bridged everything that I love about basketball, everything that I love about coaching people and helping people navigate change in life. And it allows me to do that not only on the side, but it also allows me to do that at work, because now I get to coach employees on how to navigate their own pivot moments.
When you look at touching in this space and all the different areas of focus, mindfulness, stress reduction, culture building, purpose, finding your purpose and leveraging it, and what, fuels your fire, working with CEOs, C-suite, and, all the way through. So talk about the different areas of focus.
Absolutely. It is difficult these days in the 21st century workplace to focus on everything that needs to be done. And since 2020, research has shown us, both in human resources as well as psychology and other industries, that people are having a lot more, they're having a tough time gaining the mental clarity that they had prior to 2020. I think 2020 just allowed us to figure out what's really important with us as a society. And mentally, we're struggling with that because for us that go to work every day, we're away from our home. We're away from our safe space. Remember 2020, we were all at our safe space, right? And so when you come to work every day for 8, 10, 12, 15 hours a day, you're away from your safe space. It's difficult to always focus on what you need to focus on. So one of the things that I do in my mindfulness coaching is I teach people about their brain, how their brain works, and I teach them how to kind of go in using breathing techniques, micro moments of meditation at their desk, how to go in and really train your brain to focus on what you need it to focus on. And once you have that cadence of exercising your brain through meditation and micro moments, then you're able to focus a lot better on anything and everything you need to get done during the day or when you go home and you're with your family.
Going back to your basketball analogy on the pivot foot, I think that's also a good thing, because when you think about that illustration is you have to take a moment to evaluate, right? To become aware. So becoming aware and taking a moment to figure out, okay, what's going on, assess the situation, assess your behavior, and then start having the tools to equip yourself to build new habits. And so on both sides, and then like you said, accelerate and either go score or make the block or whatever, but it's like there's a process there in place. And so unpack that a little bit too, in terms of, on your end, where you like to start to figure out, okay, with a new company, with a new client, with as you're coaching through, what are you looking for on where you're going to begin this journey?
Yeah, I think the first thing you need to know about yourself is what is going to be your foundation. Sometimes I frame that as, who is your coach? Okay, everybody's got a coach. Everybody is better with a coach. And in today's society, everybody's a life coach, a career coach, a mindfulness coach. So it is a kind of a passé phrase, but I do want to know, who is your coach? For me, I'm a Christian. And so my coach, my ultimate coach, is Jesus Christ, God. Okay. So he is my ultimate coach. So I do want to know with all of my clients, who is your coach? What's your coach? And then that allows me to know what their foundation is. And because then we could look at your coach's principles, the values, the purpose that they have for you. If you don't have that anchor or that coach like I have, as far as God being my anchor and my coach, you may have something else. And so I want to build on that to see that that is a firm foundation, because you can't have a good pivot unless you have that firm foundation. And so that's the first thing we approach whenever I talk to individuals and to groups is really, who's your coach? What's your foundation? Let's talk about that first.
You have a number of children's books, and you
I
are in the
know.
process of releasing the Pivot Principle, which is coming out this fall. So give us a little bit of a teaser on the children's books and then leading
Yeah.
into this book, the Pivot Principle.
Yeah, so my three children's books are actually going to be re-released this spring. I think May 1st is the first re-release date. There's Brown Like You, there's Dancing with Daddy, and then there's I'm Not a Baby Anymore. And these are really character books. And when I say character books, they are leadership and character building books for kids. They're all true stories about what has happened to Anthony as he was growing up. Each book features a different family member. And I wrote them because, number one, I wanted to really write down these great stories, life lessons that Anthony was learning, that me and other family members were trying to teach him as he was growing up. I felt like other kids could really resonate with some of his stories. We are a multicultural family. I'm white European. His father is Black African American. So Anthony is a mixture of both of us. And because that's becoming so common in society, I felt like it was really important for us to address the issues from a kid's perspective. Big issues, how to resolve conflict, when is it time to grow up? Everybody has to have a job of some sort. That's book number 4. And then the first book, Brown Like You, is tackling the age-old question, what color are you? And these were all true stories. In the back of every single book, they have like a list for teachers and educators on how you could instill that particular character or leadership trait in your child. And it's just really a passion project of mine. And so I'm looking forward to number 4 being released, hopefully this fall, along with the Pivot Principle being released this fall as well. The Pivot Principle is going to be totally different. It is an adult book. It is more of your self-help, psychology, business book. It's going to be geared towards pretty much a broad audience, because these principles that I teach, the 5 pivot habits that I teach people, can really be helpful for parents, for single parents, for teenagers, for women's groups, for business leaders. And so the first book will have all of those perspectives. I'll use lots of examples from all those different types of populations and groups and things like that. And then later on, we'll build and we'll have different books for different populations.
What do you want the readers to take away? Because I think in many cases you kind of work backwards. It's like, what do I want them to take away? And let me kind of guide them toward that. But what's one of the major takeaways that you want them to take away from the Pivot Principle?
Yeah, I think the major takeaway that I would love for people to have is they have control over how to navigate change and how to process and handle overwhelming situations. And if I could give them the tools to help them navigate that overwhelming situation or that sense of loss, which is the result of, how the Pivot Principle became to be. That's really what I want them to take away. Is I want them to be able to coach themselves through periods of overwhelm, through uncertainty, through loss, and I want them to connect with their foundation, their head coach.
I mentioned at the onset, you do a lot of speaking. And so for groups who want to learn more about you as a speaker, for those who want to follow your efforts and obviously be in the know on the book release coming out in the fall, and obviously for the re-release for the children's books, where do we go to get in touch with you and carry these conversations forward?
I am super easy to find. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I actually have two profiles. They're both under Shelley Kemp, but one of them has the Pivot Project or the Pivot Principle in its title. So you can find me on LinkedIn for sure. Of course, I'm on Facebook. Everybody's on Facebook. But I do like to give out my email address. You can just hit me up at info@shelleykemp.com. And don't forget the E in Shelley. So it's SHELLEY, Kemp, KEMP, .com. And they can reach me anytime.
Great stuff, and greatly appreciate
Yes.
everything you're doing to power the good. So we'll have to have you continue coming on and sharing your wealth of knowledge and expertise. But Shelley Kemp, thank you for all you do, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it. Blessings.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.